Good morning to class 10th. Yesterday we were discussing about the structure of the heart. So today we will continue the same topic, that is the heart. Okay? So if we externally view the heart, I have already discussed with you that our heart, it is covered by a membrane called as the pericardium membrane, and our heart, it is also protected in the रिब केज. ओके, भगवान ने क्या किया हुआ है, जितना भी हमारी बॉडी में डेलिकेट ऑर्गन्स हैं, all of them, they are protected with the bony cage. Okay, so in the same way, heart is also the delicate organ of our body, so it is again protected by the bony cage, that is rib cage. So I have already discussed with you the shape of the heart, that it is broader on the upper part and pointed from the lower part. Clear? Then we have discussed that the size of the heart is nearly the size of our closed fist. Okay, so here our heart in human beings, it is divided into 4 parts: 2 auricles, right auricle, left auricle, right ventricle, left ventricle. Okay, so these are the 4 parts of the heart. Clear? Now we will study about the different parts of the heart and the working of heart, that how heart it works, how it is associated with the blood vessels, how it carries the blood, how the blood move from one part to another part in the heart. So let's take the view. So this is the external view of the heart. This is the external view. This is the superior vena cava and this is the inferior vena cava. This superior vena cava, it collects the blood from the upper part of the body, that the upper part from the heart, that is from the head region, and inferior vena cava, it collects the blood from deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body. Clear? Then this is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery, it will take off the impure blood or deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs for the purification. Okay, there are 2 pulmonary arteries. Now this is pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins, what they do, they, as the blood they get oxygenated in the lungs, so pulmonary vein, it transfer the oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. Clear? And it is again 2 in number. Now here comes the aorta. Aorta is the largest artery, okay, inside our body. This largest artery, what did it do? It transport the oxygenated blood from heart to the different parts of the body. I hope this external diagram is clear to you. Now we come to the next part. I have made a simplified diagram of heart to explain the structure. Okay, so this diagram will help you in better understanding of the structure of the heart as well as the working of the heart. Okay, as I have discussed with you that our heart, it is divided into 4 chambers: right auricle, left auricle, right ventricle, left ventricle. Okay, right hand side it has deoxygenated blood and left hand side it has oxygenated blood. Clear? Now here I have represented vena cava. I have already discussed with you from the above diagram. Clear? I have mentioned here pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, aorta. Now what are the new terms which I have not discussed in the above diagram is tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve, it is present between the right auricle and right ventricle, and bicuspid valve, it is present between the left auricle and the left ventricle. As blood, it passes from auricle to ventricle, so this valve, it helps in the transfer of the blood from the auricle to the ventricle. It guards the aperture, it guards the द नेम ऑफ द अपर्चर इज, जिसको ये गार्ड करती हैं हमारी वॉल्स, द नेम ऑफ द अपर्चर इज ऑरिक्यूलो वेंट्रिकुलर अपर्चर. Okay, and these valves, they are supported by inelastic cords called as chordae tendineae. chordae tendineae. ये छोटे छोटे बारीक बारीक फाइबर्स हैं जो इन वॉल्व्स को, इन इलास्टिक जो हमारा इनका कोड्स हैं, ये क्या कर रही हैं, इन वॉल्व्स को सपोर्ट दे रही हैं. इज दैट क्लियर? So both of the valves, they are helping in transfer of the blood from auricle to the ventricle. So to remember this, that which valve is present on which side, so you have to learn these two words, rat, lamb. Right auricle, it is tricuspid valve. Left auricle, it is bicuspid valve. Okay, so by this you can learn the positioning of the two valves. Now this bicuspid valve, it is also called as the mitral valve. It is also called as the mitral valve. Okay, so this is the structure. Now here comes two more valves are there. I have situated these two valves here, first and second. These two valves, they are the semilunar valves. One is pulmonary semilunar valve and another one is aorta semilunar valve. Okay, both of these, they are guarding the opening of the blood into the lung as well as into the body. Clear? So here we will describe the structure, that auricles, they are smaller as compared to ventricle, as well as ventricles, they have thick walls as compared to the auricles. So why so? Why ventricles, they have thick wall as compared to auricles? This is due to that the pressure that is exerted on the ventricle is high as compared to the auricle. Okay, so that is why ventricles, they have thick walls. Clear? Now this is the structure of the heart. Now if we talk about the working of the heart, I hope कि आप सभी को structure समझ में आ गया है heart का. Now we move on to the working. Now what happens, this vena cava, it collects the blood from the different body parts. As vena cava, it is of two types, superior and inferior. Both of them, they collect the body blood from all the body parts and then they pour it into the right auricle. One more thing here that you have to remember is that auricles, they will always receive the blood whenever it is coming from outside. Okay, and ventricles on other hand, these ventricles, they are distributors. They are distributors. Whenever blood have to move from heart to the other part, it will move through the ventricles. So you have to remember these two functions. Auricles will always receive the blood from outside and ventricles, it will distribute the blood outside. Okay, now here this is the now we will start with the working. As I have discussing with you that vena cava, it pour the blood, it pour the deoxygenated blood, because हमारी body parts में सारे के सारी metabolic reactions हो रही हैं, metabolic activities हो रही हैं, तो वहाँ पर जो oxygen है वो utilize हो गई and now the blood is rich in carbon dioxide. So that blood is called as deoxygenated blood. So that deoxygenated blood firstly enter to the heart via the right auricle. Now this right auricle, as it is filled with the blood, it exerts the pressure on the tricuspid valve. As a result, what happens? The blood enters into the right ventricle region. Okay, now right ventricle, as it gets filled with the blood, what happens? It put the pressure on the semilunar pulmonary valve and this valve get open, and by this valve the blood enter to the pulmonary artery, and via this pulmonary artery the deoxygenated blood, it moves to the lungs for its purification, for its oxygenation. Okay, And here there are two pulmonary arteries which are taking the blood from heart to the lungs. Now lungs, they will purify the blood, they will add oxygen to the blood, and now this oxygenated blood will further taken up by the two pulmonary veins, and then this blood again enter into the left auricle. Okay, now the left auricle will again get contracted and pushes the oxygenated blood into the left ventricle. Now left ventricle, it contracts on getting filled and pumps the blood into the aorta. Now this aorta, as I have already discussed with you, it is the largest artery. So it will supply the blood to the whole body parts except the lungs, because lungs से तो already blood आ ही रहा है, वहाँ पर सिर्फ purification होनी है. Okay, and now the question arises that what is the functions of these valves? These valves, these different valves that are present in our heart, they are preventing the backflow of the blood. They are preventing the reverse flow or backflow of the blood. Okay. Now this partitioning of heart is very important. If we talk about the lower organism like fishes, they have only two chambered heart. Reptiles, amphibians, they have three chambered heart. There is one exceptional case in reptiles we have already discussed in our lower classes, that is crocodiles. They have four chambered heart. But if we talk about the birds and mammals, they have four chambered heart. So what is the requirement of four chambered heart over here? We all know that birds and mammals, they are warm blooded animals. What is the meaning of warm blooded animals? That they can keep their body temperature constant, okay, irrespective of the outer temperature. ये अपनी बॉडी का इंटरनल टेम्परेचर क्या कर सकते हैं, कांस्टेंट रख सकते हैं. What who are these? These are birds and mammals. So this is this process of thermoregulation, of controlling the temperature, of regulating the temperature, is quite energy expensive. Okay, it requires large amount of energy. So that efficiency, that thermoregulation is only regulated by the partitioning of deoxygenated and oxygenated blood that is present in the heart. Is that clear? Now here, this as we compare with the lower organism, fishes, they don't require that much, as they cannot thermoregulate, as they cannot show the property of thermoregulation. So fishes, they are not able to separate the deoxygenated and oxygenated blood. Their blood, they get mixed, so that's why their working efficiency is very, very less. Okay, then we come to the reptiles, amphibians. Again the concept is same, but in birds and mammals, they can regulate their body temperature. That is why they, in their heart, there is partitioning of oxygenated as well as deoxygenated blood. Now here are some parts, that is the coronary sulcus. Coronary sulcus, it is the part which separates the thin-walled upper auricle from the thick-walled lower ventricle. So this is coronary sulcus, okay, which is separating auricle from the ventricle. Now comes the vertical septa. Vertical means this position. Now these vertical septa, here is the first septa which will separate the two auricles, and this one is the second which is separating the two ventricle, right and left. Okay, I hope this diagram and working is clear to you. So now we can have the look of the internal diagram of the heart. Here it is aorta, pulmonary arteries, pulmonary veins, left atrium, bicuspid valve, septums. These are dividing both ventricles, left ventricle, right ventricle, tricuspid valve, vena cava, which is collecting the blood from the lower body, vena cava, which is collecting the blood from the upper body, right auricle, and semilunar valves. I have already described the functions of and location of all these parts to you. So this is the internal view or the sectional view of the human heart. Now next comes the definition of heartbeat as well as the pulse. Okay, there is difference between heartbeat and pulse. Now what is heartbeat? Heartbeat is rhythmic contraction and expansion of heart. As our heart is in pumping, it is the pumping organ. So what happens? Heart, it sometimes contract, expand. So the contraction is called as systole and the expansion of the heart is called as diastole. And this heartbeat, it is measured by the instrument that is used by doctors. You all are familiar with this instrument, okay? That is stethoscope. Clear? Stethoscope is used by the doctors to listen the heartbeat. In females, the heartbeat is approximately 80 per minute, and in males it is 70 to 72 per heartbeat per minute. Now there comes the heart sound. Our heart produces two kind of sounds, lub and dub. Lub kind of sound, the first heart sound, it is formed by the closure of the bicuspid and the tricuspid valves. Okay, they are due to the closure of the bicuspid and tricuspid valve, or you can say auriculoventricular valve, because ये जो tricuspid और bicuspid हैं ये auricle और ventricle के बीच में present है, so they are also called as auriculoventricular valves. Clear? And this dub sound, the second heart sound, it is formed when the semilunar valves, they are closed. Okay, so this lub sound, it is due to the closure of bicuspid tricuspid valve, and this dub sound is due to the closure of the semilunar valve. Okay, and this lub sound is low pitched and for longer duration, and this dub sound is for high pitch and shorter duration. Now comes the pulse rate, you can also say. Okay, it is the rhythmic throb that is felt by the finger over the superficially placed artery. ज़्यादातर हम पल्स रेट को रेडियल आर्टरी के थ्रू चेक करते हैं. ओके, जो हमारा थंब होता है बिल्कुल उसके नीचे हमारे रिस्ट रीजन में रेडियल आर्टरी प्रेजेंट होती है. वी जस्ट touch it by our fingers and we can feel the pulse. Pulse rate is same as that of the heartbeat. Their value is equal.